let me start with talking a little bit about what mindfulness is and where it's actually coming from. So mindfulness in its core is nothing else as one particular type of meditation techniques. There are many different types of meditation techniques that exist. I suppose you all remember the Beatles. So they had transcendental meditation, and I think it was the White Album in which they used it a lot, but also Sgt. Pepper. What there also exists is a meditation technique which is called a dynamic meditation. And this is quite often linked to the Bhakra movement. This has about half an hour of really intense dancing or jumping, and then half an hour of calming down, of sitting, and then lying down to sleep. Another way of meditating is sport. And a meditation technique which is quite familiar for people who have grown up within the Christian belief structure is contemplation. So mindfulness can be put into these categories. And what history tells us is that the oldest meditation techniques have actually been noted down in Hinduism. And as history goes, is that Buddha read these scripts and put his personal slant on it. And his slant is what he then called Satipatthana. If we translate Satipatthana, it means awareness, insight, and keep. So keeping the awareness of what happens inside. So whilst mindfulness in India kind of declined, it became really popular in the Western world. And the person who brought it into the Western world, I would say in the 1970s, was a guy called John Kabat-Zinn. And he worked in the Boston, Massachusetts University Hospital. And he started a group which is called today Mindfulness-Based Stress Relief. And what happened in that group, the doctors booked people into the group when they didn't know what to do with these patients in the room. So quite often these were chronic pain people, where medicine, the biomedical model, cannot really help. What people experienced over time was that even though the actual symptoms, for example, of chronic pain didn't decline, people seemed to be able to live better with it. Mindfulness came into the UK quite strongly through the CBT movement. And the CBT hub in the UK is in Oxford. And Mark Williams, who is quite a big man in the CBT community, realized that even though a lot of people went through CBT when they were depressed, the relapse rates were really huge. So they seemed to be better 2 months, 3 months after the end of treatment, but 4, 5, 6 months down the road, they came back into the clinics. So he kind of paired up with John Kabat-Zinn and brought something into the world here, which is now called mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, which was at the beginning offered mainly to people with depression, but is now widened out to people with anxiety, but also people who have suicidal thoughts. Nowadays, mindfulness is everywhere. We have mindfulness for children, we have mindfulness for teenagers, we have mindfulness for businesses, we have mindfulness for cancer, we have mindfulness for health. And mindfulness seems to have become a synonym as well. I'm sure you read mindful gardening, mindful cooking, mindful sleeping, mindful walking. I wonder when we have mindful hamburger. So, from something which appeared to have been quite helpful for particular groups, it has become a hype, and it seems to be put onto a lot of normal activities to give it a different slant. So mindfulness is big, and mindfulness is now also really big business. I googled yesterday how many hits I would get in Amazon just in the rubric books, when I put in the word mindfulness, it's more than 50,000. In Google, if you put in mindfulness courses London, over 12 million hits. If you, maybe you know the app Calm. It launched in 2012. It is a mindfulness app which you can download and you can do 2 or 3 minutes of mindfulness exercises. It has around 1 million followers, and it is estimated of a worth of $1 billion. Headspace, which is I think a year older than Calm, and it is a UK product, has more than 1 million followers, and Forbes estimates it's worth $250 million. Big Business also seems to embrace mindfulness. I suppose you know Salesforce? So Salesforce built a new headquarters which has 61 floors, and on each of the floors they have a mindfulness room. So what they do in the rooms, I don't know. But it was interesting to listen to the CEO when he was asked, so why did you build these rooms? And he said, in a time where business never sleeps, we need to facilitate a space for people to have a pause or to have a break, because only then they stay innovative. So that I thought was an interesting thought. So what does it actually teach, that thing called mindfulness, and the one you can do gardening, sleeping, walking, eating? I would say not a lot has changed since Buddha started to put his personal Satipatthana slant. If you look at definitions nowadays of mindfulness, many people, or most people, say it is an awareness of something specific which happens in this moment in time, whilst disengaging with any judgment. So becoming aware of what is right now without judging. Which sounds easy. The magic is in doing, as always. From a psychological perspective, we've asked the question, why does it seem to be helpful? And here I would like to take you quickly into our theory around memory, because this is how we believe mindfulness leads to our behavior. I suppose you know that we have long-term memory and we have short-term memory. And we can also categorize different types of long-term memory. And one of these long-term memory categories is implicit memory. So implicit memory is something that we believe is the only memory children have until 18 months. This is not very accessible any longer once we get older. Implicit memory is knowing how you feel, how your body feels when you are hungry or when you are thirsty. Implicit memory is knowing how does my home sound. Implicit memory is also when the baby is in the arms of the mother, noticing how the body changes when the mother gets stressed. So what it does something, and we believe it connects to something which is called priming. Priming is that we are much more likely to react in a certain way when a stimuli comes into our life. Let me make it less abstract and more concrete. What do you do when you are driving and you come to a red traffic light? Stop. Would you say this is a good behavior? That's a good thing to do, to stop at a red traffic light? Would you say it's good if you are an ambulance driver? So here, what this example very clearly shows is when implicit memory is not helpful any longer. my deja vu, my waking up was when I worked in Sri Lanka. There was a red traffic light and I stopped, right, as one does. And I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and I waited. I was totally oblivious. Everyone around me was moving. If I had not noticed my context, I would still stay on the traffic light. This never changes. This traffic light is always on red, out of whatever reason. So here, my implicit memory brought an automatic behavior, which is helpful most of the time, but not always. So what mindfulness does is something what I call pod training. So P-O-D. P stands for pause. O stands for observe what's actually going on. And D stands detach from what comes up in you when all of these things are going on. What this does is it creates a space. And once you are in that space, you can respond to something rather than react.